In this video, I'm going to discuss two derivations problems from the negations module. We're going to look at 1.LRS 65 and 66. So we're at 65, so we're going to go ahead and say show, and we want negation R, so that's, let's do that over here. Good. So we're trying to show negation R, which is the conclusion right there it is after the triple dots. Next step, bring in our premises. So there we go. There is no premise 4. We brought in all of our premises. Okay. What's our conclusion? Negation R. So that's what we're looking to get in order to box and cancel with direct derivation. We don't have that yet, so we're going to have to get there. We're going to have to use our inference rules. We now have two inference rules. Well, three. Modus Ponens, DNE, and DNI, or just DN in its two versions, depending upon how you like to count. So if we had R, we could apply DN to get negation R, but we don't have R. If we had negation R, if we had that, then we could apply double negation to get rid of two of them to get negation R, but we don't have that either. If we had either of those, we'd be good because we could use our double negation rules. But we don't have either of those, and that means we're going to have to use MP. Okay, so what do we need for MP? We need a conditional, and we need its antecedent. So what do we want to do? We want to look for our conditionals. Okay, so we have two of them on lines 2 and 3. On line 2, we have the conditional. Well, there's the arrow, right? So the antecedent is P. And the consequent is not Q, but we're not so concerned about that because we're going to do modus ponens whenever we can. And when we can, well, it's when we get the antecedent. So one thing, if we get P, we can do modus ponens. If we look at line 3, if we get Q, we can do modus ponens. So if we get Q, we can do modus ponens. If we get P, we can do modus ponens. Otherwise, we can't. We don't have P, we don't have Q. So we're sort of stuck, except we're not really stuck, because we look at our other line, our line 4, it's negation P. Okay, well that's not P, but we can turn it into P. So we're going to apply 4 DN, and it's DNE for double negation, elimination. We could have just said 4 DN, and then chosen P. Either works, okay? We'll say DNE, but we don't have to use it, but DNE, double negation, elimination. So now we're going to, that was to get us the antecedent of line 2. So now we have a conditional on line 2. It's antecedent on line 5. We say 2, 5, modus ponens. Good, we get negation Q. All right, we're moving forward. We still don't have what we need in order to box and cancel, though, because we need negation R. And so we need to either get that directly or get something close to it and then use DN to get it. We're not in a position to do that yet. So instead, what we want to do is modus ponens. We've done modus ponens with line 2. The only remaining conditional is on line 3. So we're going to need to do modus ponens with line 3. Line 3 is Q arrow R. We need what comes before the Q. We need we need Q because that's what comes before the arrow. That's the antecedent. Do we have Q? We don't. But we do have negation Q. So we can take those two negations off with double negation elimination again, and get Q, and now using 3 and 7, we can do modus ponens because line 7 is the antecedent of line 3, so 3, 7, MP. Now we have R. So we're moving forward. Do we have what we need to box and cancel? Not officially, because we need negation R, and we don't have that yet. But we can apply double negation to line 8 to give us negation R. We don't have to, we're doing DNI here, right, because we're introducing a double negation. But we don't have to write the I because there's no double negations to eliminate from line 8. So when you apply DN to line 8, there's only one option. DNI is the only option. So you don't need to tell the computer that's what you want to do because that's the only thing you can do. Okay, so there's our double negations on line 9, double negated R. That's our conclusion, so we can apply direct derivation to line 9. That will box and cancel line 1, and our derivation is complete. Hooray. Good. Let's go ahead and look at 66. So now we're going to do a derivation of 1.6 LRS 66. So we're going to say show, and then Q, which is our conclusion. Good. Okay. So second step, bring in our premises. Premise 1, premise 2. There is no premise 3. Okay. So no premise 3. So we have, what we want to get is Q, because that's our conclusion, and that's what we need for direct derivation, to box and cancel with direct derivation. So we want to get Q. We don't have Q. We don't have anything we can apply DN to in order to get Q, so we're going to have to do modus ponens. The only conditional we have is on line 3, so we want to do modus ponens with line 3. Okay, well, for MP with line 3, we need the antecedent of line 3. The antecedent of line 3 is that whole thing. And so we need to do, we want to see if we can get this whole thing, negation, negation, P. Well, can we? We can. We can get negation, negation, P from line 2. We can apply double negation to line 2. That gives us negation, negation, P. And we'll apply modus ponens to 3 and 4. Okay, good. Now, we get negation, negation, Q. That's not what we want, but it's almost there. We want Q, so we're just going to take off the double negations, which give us Q. Now we have Q, which is our conclusion, and we can apply direct derivation to line 6 in order to box and cancel the whole derivation, and there we go. Now let me just, so that's straightforward, but there's one sort of error we might make here that I want to sort of show to you so that you avoid it. So you might think, okay, look, well, I want to do modus ponens with line 3, and I have P on line 2, and I have a double negated antecedent. Let me apply dn to line 3 to remove the, well, let's see what happens if we apply line 3. You might think I would like to apply dn to remove these two. So then that and that will be the same. Okay? So we say, okay, let's apply dn to 3. And whoa, oh, whoa, that's ugly, right? That's not a conditional anymore. That's a conditional inside of 2 negations. And can't do any modus ponens with line 3 because it's not, or excuse me, with line 4 because it's not a conditional. You're never going to do modus ponens with line 4. The problem is that 3 is a conditional. And when we apply dn to 3, we apply dn to the whole sentence. We don't have a way of applying it to a part of the sentence, right? These negations right there, they're in the antecedent. They're inside of the whole statement, right? That really, we can think of it like this. It's a conditional, and that makes clear that, oh yeah, those 2 negations are hooked up to the P inside of the if. And when we apply double negation, we can only apply double negation to the whole sentence. Why is that? That's how our rules work. It would be more complicated if we could do other stuff, and we're not going to worry about that. So our double negation rule applies only to the whole sentence. And so we cannot use double negation to get rid of those 2 negations. The only way we can use double negation to 3 is to put double negations on the whole thing. And that's useless in this case. That's not going to help us do modus ponens. So in general, that's not what we wanted to do. In general, we do not want to apply double negations. If you're going to say, okay, here's my big conditional, and then I'm going to do MP with it, don't apply with like its antecedent. You can't apply double negation to the whole conditional to help you do that. You have to apply double negation to the smaller piece, and then you have the bigger conditional, and that's why we apply dn to line 2 to then do modus ponens. Okay, so there are times when you might want to apply double negation to a conditional, but applying double negation to a conditional will not let you take off the conditionals that are inside of the antecedent. They won't let you do that. So you have to, if you're trying to make the antecedent, if you have a conditional over here and you're trying to make its antecedent match something else, you got to do the matching on the other thing, and then they'll match. You're not going to be able to change what the antecedent of the conditional is. Okay? So this is what we want. And there's our derivation. Please let me know if you have any questions.